Now then, what's happened to the British summertime? Oh, it never arrived, did it, this year? What we're gonna do, eh? What are we gonna do? Anyway, played the Quiet Year last night with some friends. That was very, very enjoyable. Really interesting game. I've been waiting a lot of years to play it. I can't remember when I bought it. It was 10, maybe 12 years ago. And I've never really had a group of friends that I've wanted to play that one with. It's a very interesting moral, I don't know what the term is. It's a game about intent, I suppose. That is the best way to put it. Hold on, let me mount you. Yeah, see what I did there? Let me mount you. Right. Yeah, it's a game about intent. So you don't play a good person, you don't play a bad person, you don't play a person at all. In fact, you play kind of like an observer in a community. It's a hard one to explain, but it is all about being a voice of a community, I suppose, and building something collaboratively with people. There's no real goal to it. You can be benevolent, or something in between, or an echo chamber of what is happening based off prompts. It's a wonderfully simple, amazingly deep, I'm not going to say game, I'm going to say experience, because that's what you do. You experience it. You don't necessarily play the game, play it as a game as such. It is a framework to explore ideas. Some of them can be quite dark ideas, I suppose. And it's just super interesting to me. Super interesting. Check it out. I'll perhaps put a link in the description. Like I say, yeah, I've had it for a number of years, and I was going to use it as scaffolding for a world creation exercise for playing games of Warhammer and D&D. But last night it was a reintroduction into our regular gaming session. So it was two couples, myself, my wife, and one of my best friends and his missus. And it was really good. It was really good. I think it's difficult for some people to get into that role. I think it's the same with D&D. It's allowing yourself to kind of be disconnected from you as a person, and it's easier for some of us than for some other people. I think it's one of those things that comes with comfort and comes with repetition. Certainly doing this sort of thing has made me more comfortable with playing roles and acting out things, but also I've played role-playing games before, quite a lot when I was younger, where that's given me a little bit of freedom, so long as I feel comfortable with a group of people, to kind of express those thoughts and opinions. So that was really useful, and I think what I got last night, my takeaway from that experience was how it's very easy to always do the right thing and make it easy for yourself, make it easy for the community that you're playing as to excel, progress, win. I think where we've got a natural predisposition to do that, I took it as an exercise in allowing myself to explore other ideas, to put that community in situations that were uncomfortable. It doesn't even have to be fantastical situations. A lot of the things that I introduced weren't fantastical. In fact, I stayed away from any science fiction fantasy, other than a mysterious object that randomly appeared. But that was predisposed by an event in the game. I kept everything being grounded in things that may happen in a small community in the real world. So, as an example, a failure of the wheat crop leading to starvation, and then a reduction in the performance of the community's output, and to a further extent, the death of some of the lesser abled, younger, older elements of that community, reducing its overall size and thus functionality to perform other functions and sustain that community. That was quite difficult because it's quite a dark thing, isn't it? Basically, talking about like people dying. Granted, it's a hypothetical situation in this scenario, but that's the entire point of something like this, is to explore those ideas, those thoughts in an environment, in a space where you can hopefully reflect and bounce off of people. You don't always have to be there. And they found all of the treasure, or they found all of the medicine, and nothing, they were infallible, nothing could touch them, they had everything that they needed. That doesn't make you better, and using this as a tool to work through problems, solutions, scenarios and situations that may appear to you in real life situations. Certainly you would hope that something like that doesn't happen, but the actual process of working through those things, the consequences of doing something, put yourself in the situation of a commander sending your troops to the front line, you know some of them are going to die, what's the acceptable losses? That's not a nice thing to actually think about, but you know, understanding how to balance risk and reward to mitigate certain things, what are acceptable losses, to actually have to consider that as somebody that's never hopefully going to be in a situation where that is a decision that I have to make, is a really interesting one, and gives you an introspective into yourself of how you would handle that. And I think this is where having something like a close group of friends where you can actually be that side of yourself, it's easy just to kind of get carried away and just be like, oh, this, that, and have not have fun with this. This is, the entire thing was a wonderful evening of hanging out with some people that I hold near and dear, but I also felt that I was okay to be able to talk about those things with that group of people, where I didn't have the fear of being laughed at. You know, some of those things that you want to think about, you want to talk about, can be quite personal, quite raw, I suppose. And I don't want to use the word embarrassing, but some people are like, I'm embarrassed to talk about things like that. And so, oh, why would you need to talk about that? Why do you need to think about this? And it's like, you know, that's the point. But let's remove that out of the equation for a bit. And it's that sort of mentality that I find quite annoying in people, because it's that same sort of perception. It takes away some of what society thinks are people's rights to do certain things. As an example that's specific to what's going on in the UK at the moment, bear with, an ambulance. We've just had the general election, we've got a new government, it's fine, it's wonderful, and a lot of people voted differently to what they might have done perhaps in the past, and I wonder how many of those people have actually voted through understanding and have put in the effort to discover who they should vote for personally, rather than them just taking the easy option and voting for the alternate party because they think that that's going to make their lives easier. I wonder how many of those people took the time to look introspectively at themselves and understand what policies for each of the parties that were running impacted them. Having that sort of introspective look and reevaluate your stance on certain things I think is a really important life skill, and it can be embarrassing for people to do that. We as people are again predisposed to making assumptions just because it is in it. That's what I think, because, well, it just is. All of those things without giving it any evaluative thought is something that really irks me about the majority of people. And even having conversations like this with you, it's just a camera. God knows hardly anybody watches it anyway, so it doesn't matter. Having those conversations with people, it's like, I don't know, should I be embarrassed to say something like that to somebody, to ask them if they've asked those questions, for them to be like, well, it doesn't matter, does it? Well, yeah, it does matter. It does matter, and that's an interesting thing. I think it's games like A Quiet Year and having a group of people that you can explore that kind of thing with that makes everybody better. I'm hoping my son won't have the same insecurities that I've had throughout my life about being able to tackle those kind of questions, those kind of situations, because it's not good. It's not good, and I wish I'd have had somebody to talk to when I was younger, making informed opinions about things rather than having to explore those things entirely by myself. Would have been really good. And through the medium of such a simple game like this, I mean, it is meant as a framework for exploring these things. I think it's underselling it to call it a game. It's more of a social experiment, I suppose. It's really beneficial. I can't wait to kind of like share this kind of thing with him, and hopefully make him into or guide him into becoming a more well-rounded, considerate of himself and society as a whole person. That's it. Right, I'm gonna go because that was a fairly that went deep. That went deep, didn't it? God damn it. Yeah, don't murder anybody. That was something we touched on last night, but yeah, don't murder people. It's bad. Okay, don't do it. It's naughty. I'll see you tomorrow. Doodles.